Happy Sunday. It's a pleasure to have your company tonight. My name is Olive Nete. As we begin this edition, let us inform you that President Paul Kagame is now in Abuja, Nigeria, where he will attend the swearing ceremony of President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Monday alongside other heads of state from around the world. Bola Ahmed Tinubu will replace Muhammadu Buhari, who had been serving as Nigeria's president since 2015. Now moving ahead, according to the Ministry of National Unity and Civic Engagement, the civic education program, also known as Itorero, is set to be established in public institutions in order to train workers, especially young people, the principles that should guide people at work. We have details.
Many of the people participated in the Itorero, a civic education program, say that what they learned through the program should also be taught to others, and that in all sectors.
Some of the lessons learned include patriotism and also to work with strength as members of the country, because patriotism includes loving citizens of the country. When we love the country, we also love citizens, and that compels us to feel like providing them services and even those who come to reside in the country.
What I learned in the civic education program is to be characterized by dignity and also to find homegrown solutions as Rwandans. I wish that these trainings should be taught specifically to the youth because there are values that we young people do not know, and we can get that from Itorero. Values including loving work and doing it efficiently, and other various values learned in the civic training are some of the values that members of the Chamber of Deputies say that should characterize people, most importantly the youth, that are transiting from school to workplace, and that they should be reminded about these values through the program. They also point out that it shouldn't be limited to the public sector only, but it should also reach to other sectors.
Efforts should be especially made with the youth, but the curriculums should include various subjects, including skills to create jobs, be courageous at work, because the big number of the current workforce are young people, and we expect productivity from them, and they are the future of the country as well.
Dr. Jean Damascene Bizimana, the Minister of National Unity and Civic Engagement, pointed out that in the next fiscal year, the civic education training will be initiated in the public institutions. It will be a permanent program and will be structured in accordance with the activities carried out in each institution.
We also found that when a certain institution initiate a civic education program, they do that based on their particularity, their main responsibility. Let's take an example of WASAC, which carries out services of providing water to people. If they do program and closely evaluate issues that are in the service provision of water infrastructures, that we assist them to carry out their work efficiently. Secondly, we want it to be a culture. We want it to be a permanent program. That's why, in cooperation with the Ministry of Public Service and Labor, we want it to be part of the national budget. And also the way it will be done is different. We won't have to take a period of like 5 days, but an institution can set certain hours in a week or a day, or even be done once or twice a month. We shall discuss that with every institution, but what is important is to establish that culture of civic education trainings in all sectors.
The civic education program is meant to reach out to private institutions and government organizations, religions, and to people with small businesses and low-income jobs in order to strengthen proper functioning and cooperation.
Now moving ahead, more than 400 members of the RPF Inkotanyi who live in the United States of America and Canada met for a 3-day retreat in Portland, Maine in USA. Some of the things they discussed in this retreat include the history and the vision of the RPF Inkotanyi, what is expected of the diaspora in the plans to build the community and the country, and cooperation and contribution needed to continue to develop the nation as well. Ambassador Mathilde Mukantabana, who is also the chairperson of the RPF Inkotanyi in the Northern America, noted that RPF members and other Rwandans living in the diaspora have the ability to develop their country.
We have literate people, we have economists, and as we are in that pace of thinking big, as they always say, we have many things we can do for the country, regarding to our capacity as well. The benefits from this retreat is that we met people who repatriated to Rwanda, but before, they never knew that that was their respective country.
Ambassador Claver Gatete presented to the participants of the retreat an overview of the country's economy. He used figures to show the current state of the country after the genocide against the Tutsi in 1994 and the role of the government in rebuilding the country.
Now we have the foundation, as we got all infrastructures, stable institutions, and our economy is also stable as well, due to macroeconomic stability we established, as that's the reason why we are eligible to fight all shocks that may arise in our economy. Due to that stability, we always meet the requirements of the various world institutions, such as International Monetary Fund or World Bank, and now we are standing at B+ level. Like you saw that the new program of IMF, we are the only country ranked on it due to our standings in economy.
It's a retreat that kicked off on Friday 26th May and was concluded on Sunday 28th. Now in other matters, residents of Rubavu district finds that the most sustainable way to avoid the disasters caused by this river is to relocate from its vicinity in order to also protect the environment. Adam Squizera with more.
In the village of Chiziguro, Nyundasal, a place commonly known as Chiribata, the area that is very close to the banks of the river of Severe, it was used to be very residential. But now, after the recent disasters that has destroyed many houses in this area and took lives of 3 people, many of those properties, including houses, were completely destroyed. They were supported by the government in the sites that were established, though there are others who remain in this area who are still insecure. The residents of this area, as well as those who live very close to the banks of the Severe River, request to get relocated from these risky zones. All this place was occupied to the extent that the houses were so very close to each other.
Whenever it rains, we think that Severe is going to be full. That is why we are always worried, since the outbreak of the disasters caused by Severe.
The acting mayor of Rubavu district, Nzawonima Deogratias, noted that there is a plan to relocate those residents who live close to Severe River. We plan for their relocation. We can't accept that there can be any other resident who could be killed by disasters. Those residents who have been there, they are not allowed to live there anymore or renovate their houses. And that's why we urge all residents to understand this very well. There are various sites that were established which will have primary needs for the people. As of now, we are planning to relocate them and get set in those sites. The recent data collection demonstrated that the 800 people living close to the banks of Severe River are expected to be relocated as soon as possible. Adam Squizera, RTV News.
Moving ahead, the operators of the joint parks of Rwanda and Uganda seek to resume joint monitoring of the biodiversity species in these parks to prevent these from cutting across unimaginary transboundary lines. Adam Squizera continues.
Uganda's Gahinga National Park borders Volcanoes National Park of Rwanda. It takes more than an hour to find more than 1,500 species in this park that are often visited by tourists, where for the foreigners it requires payment of $100. However, the species including duikers sometimes cross from the Volcano National Park of Rwanda to Uganda, as Kisenyi Rollins explains.
But we have some other wild golden monkeys which always move and cross the borders. They can cross to Rwanda, they can cross to Congo, so they are transboundary. They cross, they are free to move anywhere.
On the other side of Rwanda, sometimes species like mountain gorillas cross the imaginary transboundary lines to Uganda. This creates the need for the cooperation in the joint control of these parks ecosystems.
You know, it helps in a way that you work together along the borders to ensure that the illegal activities are combated. It was producing a positive result, and definitely we need to revive some of these synergies of working together to ensure that that borderline is rid of some of these illegal activities, especially poaching.
Want to come for the protection of this great virunga. It's like a one kind of habitat. It's not really for the way the structure of this organization. It's less to say Congo, Rwanda. It's like one thing. So they make it all together for us to make sure we conserve, but also to achieve some from the conservation we're doing by generating revenues.
Greater Virunga Transboundary Collaboration, an organization which is responsible for the conservation of biodiversity species, including those that are endemic, that cut across the imaginary transboundary line across the Democratic Republic of Congo DRC, Rwanda and Uganda, shown various challenges in the park conservation, including the lack of security in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which had a significant impact on the conservation of the Virunga Park, which also borders the Gahinga of Uganda. Adam Squizera, RwandaTV News.
On Sunday in Ruhango district, the 29th commemoration activities were held, specifically in remembrance of women and children which were killed in this district. The Minister of Gender and Family Promotion, Janet Bayisenge, urged parents to think about their contribution to building a better future society of Rwanda.
In Ruhango district, this is where the 29th commemoration of the genocide against the Tutsi was carried out, specifically in remembrance of women and children killed during the genocide. The house where activities were carried out has a particular history. It is a house in the village of Dwan in Geramana sector, where specifically during the genocide on the 20th of May 1994, 470 women and children were killed. Various officials laid wreaths at this house. Letitia Mutoneshe is one of the people who survived the attacks of the militia in this place. She was 9 years old back then. We arrived at this place called Dwan from a place near an Adventist church, a place called Nyabitare. In Nyabitare, militias killed many people and others were injured. Those who survived made the decision to go at the commune of Murama, and this was the way to commune Murama. While fleeing, they met a soldier called Mandora from the ex-FAR, and he asked them where they were heading to. They said to commune Murama. He told them that in that place many people are being killed, and that the head of that commune, called Rutiganda Jean Damascene, was at the forefront of those who were killing people. Because of those information, women took a decision to come here with their children. However, after fleeing in the house, attacks were carried out and those who fled in that place were killed. Militias made an attack because there were many people who fled in this place. They saw task forces from the leader of the commune of Murama and other military people. When they came, a woman saw them and screamed. Some of the people who had the scream ran, and I was among those people who fled. After the genocide, I chose to be resilient and not to be overwhelmed with depression. I rebuilt myself, I made progress, and I'm strong. During the commemoration ceremony, Professor Janet Bayisenge, the Minister of Gender and Family Promotion, pointed out that this is a time to reflect on the education that parents provide to children. While Tutsi were being killed and being thrown out of their homes since 1959 and the following years, these people who planned and carried out the genocide in 1994, before that time they were children, which means that before genocide they were taught hatred. This has a message, and this should make us parents think about the contribution we make in giving proper education to the future society, the values that we teach them, the heritage that we leave behind, and also thinking about how we build a new history. The Ruhango district where commemoration activities were carried out to remember women and children killed during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, research done has shown that it is on the third place with the highest number of families completely wiped off during the genocide. Those who testified and carried out speeches on the history emphasized on the fact that this is a sign that the genocide was intended to exterminate every Tutsi, but they appreciated the efforts made by the RPF in Inkotanyi to stop the genocide and liberate the country.
In the former Murama sector, now in Bugesera district, 76 families consisting of 416 people were killed and completely wiped off during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Adam Squizera with the details.
Karingani Etienne, who's the only survivor in the family that survived at Murama sector, now in Nyamata sector, Bugesera district, says that Karama is where the genocide against Tutsi was attempted in 1992. Same to Habiyaremi Andre, who also knows that the reason there are some families that extincted in this region was due to the support of the military barracks to the Interahamwe militias.
Hano buriya icyahoze ari segiteri Murama nayo cyari kizengurutswe n'abantu nkuko mu Bugesera.
Here in the former Murama sector, there were many Tutsi who came from different parts of Gikongoro, Ruhengeri and Byumba, and were later surrounded by Hutu people, which enforced them to kill mass people, and even in this forest, there was a military barracks, which led to the first mass killings of Tutsi who were living here. The survivors at the former Murama sector appreciate Inkotanyi for rescuing them and also supporting them in their development journey.
We literally remember how Inkotanyi found us here and rescued us from Interahamwe militia and the holes. That is why we say we do not have a reward to give to Inkotanyi and the President of the Republic, Paul Kagame, because after rescuing us, they also provided support. Meanwhile, we made progress.
Senator Kanyaruchiga Ephraim noted that the youth should be taught history in order to be shown the right direction of the country. Either elders or young people in various categories, in schools, religions, they have to teach especially youth in order to be aware of that history. Due to that, this progress, we say, develops from the mindset itself, because you can't even find anywhere the difference between a Hutu or Tutsi, nowhere. This week marks the 29th commemoration of the genocide against Tutsi in the former Murama sector, currently Nyamata sector, Bugesera district. Adam Squizera, RTV News.
Thank you for staying with us. Have a blessed week ahead. Bye for now.